Do you need volunteers? Are you having trouble finding them and then recruiting them? And how do we get the maximum effort from our volunteers? Well, you've come to the right place. Hello, everyone. My name is Phil Immordino, and this is another GTAA webinar. For over 30 years, we've had the opportunity to work with thousands of tournament planners around the world. And we hear things. We hear what works, and we hear what doesn't work. So our job, our mission is to bring that information to you, to help you produce the best golf tournament possible. And one thing we've learned for sure are that you need volunteers. Volunteers are the secret to your success. So today we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about working with volunteers. So I'm so glad you could join us. I want to encourage you to take lots of notes, ask any questions, and remember, this call will be recorded so that you can share it with anybody that you want to after the session's over. So we're going to cover some things that I think that you may need to know. If you haven't already heard some of this stuff, we're going to give you some new stuff, like why do you need volunteers? What is the importance of them? Where do you find them? And then how do you recruit them? How do you recruit the right types of people? Then what does it take to train volunteers? They're not staff, so it's a different type of training. How do you maximize the efforts? How do you get the most out of your volunteers? And then how do you hold them accountable? So we're so glad you could join us, and sit back and relax, and feel free again to take lots of notes, invite other people on the committee, and stick with it. Stick with me to the end, because I'm going to share with you today a bonus that really is going to open your eyes on how to take your whole volunteer structure to a whole new level. So I want you to remember that the theme today is that it's not about you. It's not about your organization, and it's not about your events. It's not even about the success of your events. It's about them. It's about your volunteers. So we're going to get into it right now. So thanks for joining us. So first question is, why do we need volunteers? What is the importance of volunteers? Well, first of all, if you've ever done an event by yourself, you know how hard it is. Volunteers help you take your organization and your event to the whole new level. It gives you unlimited potential. When it's just you or a few people, it really limits what you're able to accomplish. There's no burnout. When you have a team put together, you don't get burnout. You don't get frustrated. Less frustration, less to do stuff, and it's just overall great. And then there's no loneliness. Sometimes when you're doing an event, you're running an organization, it gets a little bit lonely out there. And so with a volunteer, with a team, there's a lot less loneliness. So what do volunteers offer? I know a lot of you people joining us today are on staff, or you get paid to do this kind of work, but I need you to remember that volunteers bring a whole lot to the table. And if we think about just us and just a few people, you limit, again, your efforts. So let me just remind you of a couple of things that volunteers do offer you. I know you know most of these, but let me just give you a little reminder. First of all, they help you take your event to a whole new level. With a team, with volunteers, your event will be much bigger than it ever has been in the past. These volunteers typically are business people. They're connected in the community. They've been around, so they're going to offer you experience, maybe some experience that you haven't had, or experience from a different view or a different dimension, because they're in different industries. So they're going to bring experience. They're going to bring knowledge, lots of knowledge in volunteers. They've been in business, they've been in the community for years, and they have a lot of knowledge to bring you. They bring you encouragement. Again, when you're out there trying to do something by yourself, it gets lonely. And if you have a team together encouraging you, you're encouraging them, it just makes things much funner, more exciting. Multiplication. If you can multiply yourself, if you can duplicate yourself into these volunteers, imagine how much you can get accomplished. Imagine 10 people just like you getting the work done. There's always a lot of logistics involved, a lot of little details that you're not excited about, but volunteers just want to help. So it takes a lot of things off of your shoulders. They build a great atmosphere. It's just fun. When you have upbeat, positive people around you, it's just a fun atmosphere. You're building relationships. Some of the relationships you're going to build with your volunteers will be long lasting friendships, companionship, folks that'll be around for a long time and get to know you and you get to know them. So it builds relationships, new ideas. Sometimes we get stuck doing the same thing year after year after year. And we don't want to change because there's no new ideas, but new volunteers bring new ideas. It's a team. It's a team effort. If you put on any type of event, you know there's a lot of work to do, and this allows you to pull a team together. And then exposure in the community. Maybe some of your organizations might be new. Maybe you need to revitalize your image. And by a big team, remember, they're involved in the community. They work. They're out there, and they're going to get exposure for you and your organization. The more people that are involved. And I know some of you people are saying, well, listen, I'm on staff. I feel guilty because this is my job. I'm supposed to be doing all of this work. And that is not true. If you're a nonprofit, your job is to maximize all of your efforts, and you only do that with a team of volunteers. Do you realize that nonprofits wouldn't exist if it wasn't for volunteers? That golf tournaments wouldn't exist if it wasn't for volunteers. The biggest events in the world are run totally by volunteers. So don't feel guilty when you are recruiting people. I want you to realize that you offer them a ton of benefits. By them being involved with you, you give them something. So keep that in mind and don't feel guilty when you're out there recruiting volunteers. Don't be begging and pleading with them to get involved because you offer them something. So keep in mind that you offer them an opportunity to be involved. Let me just remind you that a lot of people in this world are bored. They're lonely. They don't do anything. They go to work. They come home. Some people aren't even working. Some people are retired. They get bored. And so you're giving them an opportunity to be involved. You're giving them an opportunity to get experience. Even though they're going to bring experience to you, you're going to give them the opportunity to get experience in the nonprofit world and whatever events that you're putting together. You give them an opportunity to get new relationships. They want friends just like you want friends. We all want friendship. We all want companionship. And by being involved on a team and volunteering for your organization, they're going to build relationships. It gives them fulfillment. We feel good when we're helping, when we're serving, when we're getting involved and doing things for the community. And so we're going to get that fulfillment. Your volunteers will get that fulfillment. Plus, they want to serve. I found that everybody wants to serve. Somehow, some way, you ask people, what are you doing? What are you giving back? And people want that. They desire that. I think it's built into us to want to help. And you're giving them that opportunity. And then you're giving them the opportunity to be a part of something much bigger than themselves. Sometimes we get wrapped up into our own little worlds. We're doing our own little thing. And by you getting them involved, they're going to be a part of something much bigger. So don't feel guilty, even though you're on paid staff. If you are, don't feel guilty when you're out there recruiting people because you have a lot to offer them. So then the question is, how do you recruit these volunteers? Where do you find them? How do you recruit them? How do you get them excited? And I think it first starts with identifying the right people. We've all probably worked with volunteers who are the wrong people. They're negative. They don't do anything. We have to search out the right people. Let me emphasize this, that I think recruiting volunteers is something that needs to be done all year round. This is not just right before your event or right after your event, but this is an all year round process. Depending on how many events you have, maybe it's just your golf tournament, whatever the case may be, it needs to be you need to keep your eyes open for good people all year round and be having lunch and breakfast and coffee and dinners and inviting people to the office. This is an all year round process, but you need to find people with some key ingredients. First of all, they have to have a good heart. I mean, if you're a nonprofit and you're serving with your organization, these folks need to have a heart for that, a heart to give back, a heart to serve. If it's all about them and they're into themselves and what can they get out of it, probably won't stick around or last very long. They've got to be willing to be involved. They got to be willing and able to be at meetings, to get stuff done. They have to have that willingness, and you can see that in their eyes. They need to have ability. Not that you don't want people without ability, but I think you're going to be more productive if you find people and match their abilities. For example, if they're a salesperson by trade, then you want to get them involved in selling things, whether it's sponsors or tickets or participation. If they're more detail oriented, you want to get them involved in logistics. So analyze what their ability is and then match that responsibility with that ability. Very important that they need availability. This means that they're available for meetings, whether it's a Zoom video meeting or whether it's the event itself. But the most frustrating thing for you is to have these committee meetings and no one show up, and then just show up at the event. So make sure that they're available, and you can find that out early on. That they're responsible. They get stuff done. They know how to handle reports. They know how to handle their tasks, and they're goal oriented. So look for people like that. Very, very, very important. They need to be connected. They need relationships. They need contacts, because you're going to need sponsors. You're going to need participants. You're going to need other volunteers. So look for people who are connected in the community, whether they're still in business, whether they're retired and they're active, but people with valuable relationships are the people that you want to look for. And then ideally, you want the right size committee. I find a lot of problems in the nonprofit world. Sometimes the committees are too small. Sometimes the committees are too big. So I want to encourage you to have the right size committee, depending on your event. We recommend with golf tournaments anywhere from 6 to 12 people on that committee, because there's a lot of stuff to do. We're going to go through a little bit of that today. So make sure that you're looking for the right types of people with a good heart, with availability, with relationships. And when you find the right people, they're going to be much more productive. Now, where do you find these volunteers? I know that's very frustrating for a lot of us. Where do we find them? Well, there's so many people out there. And keep in mind, people want to give back. People want to serve. And they may be bored with life. And so you just need to contact them. You just need to reach out to them. And here's where you're going to find volunteers. First of all, right there within your organization. You may have a board of directors that's not doing anything. You may have past committee members that aren't doing anything. People that are around, they know people in your office, and they're not doing anything. So there's people connected with your organization, your vendors, your suppliers, people that are related to you and your organization. People who have benefited from your organization. If you're, offering scholarships, or maybe you're curing cancer. I don't know what everyone is doing, but you're helping people. Those people that you've helped want to give back. So reach out to past participants, people that have benefited from your organization. Go through those lists and just call them up, see how they're doing. And at minimum, they can get involved in an event or two, or on a advisory board, or maybe even just offering additional contacts. Friends. You have friends. We all have friends that aren't doing anything. They're bored. They need something to do. Reach out to these people. Your neighbors. Get to know your neighbors. I know that's kind of tough these days, but really encourage you to get out there and do yard work and take a walk the dog, meet neighbors, because they too are bored and lonely and look for something to do. We've all got family members, brothers, sisters, cousins, uncles, aunts. They get bored. Ask them what they're involved in. Get to know them. Get to know a little bit about their life. Club partnerships. Maybe there's a group in your town. Maybe there's a Rotary or a civic group or a Chamber of Commerce that there's a whole group of folks there that are looking for stuff to do. Maybe they have their own pet projects. Maybe they don't, but you don't know until you reach out to some of these Lions clubs and Rotary clubs and Chambers of Commerce. Employees of big companies. A lot of times companies make it a requirement that their employees get involved in the community, that they have to serve a certain amount of community hours. So reach out to the major employers and find out what maybe they have some requirements, and post something in their newsletter, in their bulletin boards. Get involved, volunteer your time. Associations. Depending on, again, your cause, there's always an association in your industry that are looking for good causes, looking for things to get involved in. Again, I mentioned your board members, obviously, see what they're doing. Sometimes they like to just sit on the board and do nothing, but they need to be involved with your organization. Call-ins. A lot of times people are just calling in. They're calling in, asking a little bit about your organization. They may want to donate to your organization, but keep track of those folks and reach out to them and meet with them, have coffee. But they're interested, so work with them. Industry people, similar to associations, anybody in your industry or similar industries. Interns, work with the schools, work with the colleges, work with the high schools. If folks want to learn, and you can start an internship program, and many times it can be volunteer where they get involved in your organization. Also, retired folks. There's a lot of folks that are retired and they're bored. Go to the retirement communities, reach out to them and go talk to them. They're looking for speakers. They have bulletin boards, they have newsletters. So reach out to those folks. Now, what are the steps? You see, that's where you are going to find them. Now, what are the actual steps? And again, as I mentioned, I think this is an all year round process. You make a list of all the volunteers ideally that you want for your organization, and then all year round, you're looking around, you're bumping into people that's in the back of your mind that you want to meet with them and get to know them and push their buttons. Everyone has a button. Everyone gets excited about something. So your job is to find out. And the only way you find out is ask questions, get to know them, get to understand their needs and their wants. So make sure that you're meeting people, finding out about them, and pushing their hot buttons. Caring about them. I can't overstate this enough that so many times we think it's all about us. We think it's about my job and keeping my job and getting this project done and raising the amount of money so I don't get fired. But it's not about you, okay? It's about them. And your job is to care about people. If you truly, sincerely, genuinely care about others, they're going to care about you. They're going to get involved with you. If they sense that genuineness that you really are concerned with their goals and their dreams, they're going to get involved with you. Call them, ask them. If you have this list of people, whether it's the friends, the family, just say, hey, what are you up to? I have a special project I need your help on. Just call them. What do you got to lose? They may be busy now, but maybe they're available next month or after the holidays. But just pick up the phone and call them. Everyone at a big company usually has to pay their dues. They want to be involved again in the community because maybe it's for their job, maybe it's moving up the corporate ladder, maybe it's just part of learning the community. So people out there in industry need to pay their dues. They need to get involved. They will get experience too in events and in the nonprofit world. So push that button. Sometimes, as we mentioned, it's a company requirement. If you're reaching out to these big corporations, go to the human resources, say, is there a requirement of your people getting involved in the community, doing community service work? And they would love to get involved with you. So see if you can get those job postings. And then remind them, this is a way to make friends. It's a way to build relationships. Remind them that it's something bigger than themselves. They're going to get involved in something much bigger, and it's going to be fun. Their involvement's going to be fun. Whenever you're around events, they're close to the action, and they're going to have fun with what you're doing. So once you've pulled your team together, then what I found, what's really key is training these people. See, in the volunteer world, we don't train people properly. We just assume that they know how to do it. So we need to learn how to train people properly. And that means treat it like a job, treat it like a business where you actually have a training manual, you have training sessions, and you're teaching them how to do their job. So it's important in this training session, you have their job description completely written out. So it's clear exactly what they're supposed to be doing and how they're supposed to be doing it, a job description. Very important, whatever their role might be. You can't just say, okay, you guys get a bunch of stuff done, you out and go do this, and we'll see at the next committee meeting. You have to have a clear, precise definition of what they're supposed to do. And then get the commitment early. Get the commitment when they realize what the job is and what it's supposed to be and what's required of them. Get a commitment. whether it's verbal or get it in writing, get their signature that this is my job and this is what I plan on doing. They're excited though, in the beginning, but as time wears off, they're going to lose that enthusiasm. So it's important that you get their commitment early that this is what they're going to do, that they're going to come to community meetings, that they're going to participate in Zoom calls, that they're going to be at the event. Make sure that this job description has specific instructions, exactly what their goals are, how many sponsors they're supposed to sell, how many foursomes they're supposed to bring in, how many tickets they're supposed to sell, how many raffle tickets, how many mulligans, and so forth, how many gift and prizes they're supposed to give in. So make sure that there's detailed job description. But I would encourage you to give them freedom. Remember, you're not paying them and you can't fire them. So give them the freedom, but not too much freedom. You can't just say, we'll see you at the event. You have to obviously hold them accountable, which we're going to talk about. Communication is key in all companies, in all organizations. So get your volunteers on a chain email, on a newsletter. Make sure that they feel like they're a part of what's happening. They understand what's going on. If they feel well informed, they feel more part of that team. Give them a timeline and action items and deadlines when they're supposed to accomplish what they're supposed to do. As I mentioned, put it in writing. Let them fail, but help them succeed. So these are just some of the ways that you train your people, and very, very important to train them properly, put it in writing, and then we're going to talk about how to hold them accountable in just a second. So now the question is, how do we maximize their efforts? So what's happening now, don't take this wrong, but most volunteers only do what they have to do to get by. They're not being superstars. They're busy. Life gets in the way. Hobbies get in the way, and you are not their top priority. So don't take that personal, but they are not maximizing what they could be doing for you. And our job is to help maximize their efforts. So remember some things, some key techniques that will help them get really vested, get them really involved, and really do the best that they can do. So one of the ways that we have found is to give them ownership in your event. See, now sometimes we feel like it's our event and this is our baby and we own it and we control it. But and that's true, but if a volunteer doesn't feel like they're have a vested interest, they don't care about your success. They don't care about your bottom line. They don't care about how much money you're going to make. They're going to do what they have to do just to be involved. But if you give them ownership in your event, then all of a sudden they have a vested interest and they're going to work harder. They're going to make sure that they are a part of your success. So the way you do that is you give them a job title, you give them responsibilities, you give them a chairmanship. It says you are in charge of this department. And you want different chairmen. You want an event chairman, you want a sponsorship chairman, you want a golfer chairman, you want gift and prize chairman, you want promotions chairman, you want auction chairman. These are people that are volunteers, but they're in charge of a department. Don't think that you can handle it all. Make them responsible. And this is one of the ways to maximize their efforts, because now they're responsible for a department, and they're going to work hard to make sure that their department is successful. Now, we've got to talk about how do we take them to the next level? How do we really get them motivated? How do we get them really accomplishing above and beyond what they're called to do? Instead of selling one sponsorship, they're selling 10. Instead of bringing in 2 foursomes, they're bringing in 5. How do we get them to that level? How do we motivate volunteers to make sure that we're maximizing their efforts? Well, one of the ways is recognition. We all love recognition. We love to be recognized. Let's face it. Sometimes volunteering is a no glory job. And if we let it be that, they're not going to be motivated. They're going to feel, well, it doesn't really matter what I do. But some of the ways that we can recognize and show them appreciation of these volunteers is put their name everywhere. Put it in their newsletter, put it on your website, put it on the letterhead, whatever, brochures. Let them know that they are important. You put their name everywhere. You highlight them as the stars of the show, not you. You give them a plaque. You give them a plaque that says, we really appreciate your efforts. We want to say thank you. Thank you for working with us. It gives them that recognition. Maybe it's a certificate of participation. And then you want to introduce them everywhere, introduce them in meetings, introduce them at your events, but make sure that they feel important. If your volunteers feel important, they're going to work harder for you. Don't stop praising them. Don't stop saying thank you. Don't stop writing them little notes of appreciation and then highlighting them in front of people and saying thanks for all your work. Have a special party just for the volunteers. Buy them food, give them gifts as thank you for all that you've done. We just appreciate you and your participation. And then give them incentives. Let me just tell you, this is huge. Give them incentives for reaching certain goals. I would give everyone a gift that says thank you for just being a part of it. But then I would set certain rules and certain guidelines and certain goals that if they reach these goals, they bring in, let's say, 3 sponsors, they're going to get a dinner for 2, or if they bring in 5 sponsors, they're going to get a weekend stay at a hotel. I would reward the top producer, the volunteer that does the best. Give them something substantial. Maybe it's a cruise or a set of golf clubs or something substantial that says we appreciate you and all the work you've done. Other people will see that and they go, hey, I want to be that top producer next year. Companies do this all the time. This is no new revelation. This is how companies operate. And I think if nonprofits would learn from some of these corporations, we would be much more successful. All right, now the big question is, so now they're motivated, now they're excited, and they're trained, we got the right people on board, how do we hold them accountable? This is a huge, huge thing, because it's one thing to have the greatest people on board, but if there's no accountability, then we're all going to slide. Again, we get busy, things get in the way. So we may not finish what we're supposed to finish if we're not held accountable. So let me just encourage you with a couple of ideas that will help hold your volunteer committee accountable. One is phone calls. I would just get in the habit of picking up that phone and calling your people on a regular basis. Call them once a week and say, how you doing? What's going on? How's it coming along? In a friendly, motivating way, not in a demanding, pushy way, like how come you haven't sold anything, but more of encouragement and how can I help and how can I get involved with you and your efforts. But weekly phone calls are powerful because it says a couple things. It says, hey, you're important. I care about you. And it also says, hey, we need you. We need you to get some work done. So phone calls are huge. I love written reports. Once a week, I love to get a written report from every volunteer, not detailed, long, but just something, maybe a 1-pager that says, hey, this is who I'm calling on. This is, the status of what's going on. This is the sponsors that we have sold. This is the sponsors that we have in the works. But a weekly written report is huge in holding volunteers accountable. Again, remember, we talked about clear, precise instructions. If they know what they're supposed to do, you just hold them accountable for that. Deadlines are huge. If I know that I have 6 months to do something, I'm going to wait 5 months to get it done. But if you say, hey, we need 1 sponsor the first month, we need a second sponsor month number 2, and so forth, give them clear deadlines. Also, give them assistance. If they've got some big things in the works, walk with them, hold their hand through the process. For example, maybe they have a contact at a big car dealership that could be a potential huge sponsor. Well, go with them to the meeting, go with them and share, your side of the story regarding the mission and your organization and what you're doing, but assist them, help them, all along the way with calls, with reports, with proposals, but work with them, give them assistance. Encouragement, continually encourage your people, even if they haven't done anything. You don't want to overpressure them and push them and be bossy, because if you do, you're going to push them away and they won't be involved next year. But if you become an encourager and it's more about them and reaching their goals and, hey, we'd love to have you at this party or this meeting just to get you more involved, but be an encourager and you're going to get these volunteers really getting excited and being accountable and responsible for what they're supposed to do. So this is how you hold them accountable. Phone calls, reports, deadlines, everything in writing in detail, and a lot of encouragement. So very, very important. Now, what happens is in a lot of cases, volunteers, they work with you hard 1 year, but they don't come back in the future. And it's very frustrating because then that means you've got to continue to recruit new people. But if you want your volunteers coming back year after year, there's some key things that you have to remember. One, Make them feel a part of the team, part of the family. Make them feel wanted, needed, appreciated. And if you do that, they're going to want to come back year after year. Give them the vision. Hopefully, you're the visionary. Hopefully, you have the dream. Hopefully, you have the future in mind. So make sure that you're sharing that with them. Show them that with their accomplishments, this is what the organization is going to be able to do. You're going to send more kids to camp. You're going to cure more cancer. You're going to help more elderly. Whatever your organization is, share the vision with them so that they can see it. They can be on the same page with you and get excited about working with you. So make sure that they see the vision. Build relationships. Um, Make them your friends. Be connected to them. And again, it's not about you, it's about them. You pour your life into them, they will die for you. They will work hard for you. But it can't be about you and you reaching your goals and keeping your job. It's got to be about them and their goals and their job. But build that relationship, build that friendship, and they will be back. Serve them. You be a servant. You become a servant of them. You're not the big honcho, the big boss, but you're the servant of them. You're here to serve them. These volunteers will be back year after year. And as I mentioned before, communication. Communication is key throughout the whole process, not just through the event, but all year round. Continue to communicate with these volunteers, and they will love you, they'll be committed to you, and they'll work with you long term. So these are just a few ideas. I'm going to give you that bonus idea here in just a second, but let me just share a reminder if you're new to the GTA or don't know who we are and what we do. We are a free membership. We have 50,000 members around the world, and our mission is to help you produce the best golf tournament possible. But a lot of the concepts today can be used for any events that you're doing, whether it's golf tournaments or galas or banquets or any marathons or 10K walks, whatever. These concepts can be used for all of those when you're dealing with volunteers. But we have a ton of materials available to you. We have books and tapes, how to produce golf tournament games and contests. We can help you with your team. We can do training. We can help you with your event. We can paint the big picture. We can hold you accountable, and we can help take your event to a whole new level. And everything we do is guaranteed that we're going to help you be successful. We now have this webinar and many others on YouTube. It's called the Golf Tournament Channel. So if you need to have any other ideas, whether it's selling sponsors or recruiting golfers or games and contests, we have all of those topics available for you on the YouTube channel. And then we now have podcasts on Spotify, so you can find us on Spotify. But we also have a certification program. If you want to take your training and your team to the next level and be certified as a golf tournament planner, we have that certification program that you can watch some videos online, read the manual, and then take the test, and you become certified. We promote you, put you on our website. So let me just give you this bonus idea I was telling you about. And here is takes your event to a whole new level. And that's simply partnering with other organizations. Maybe you have a corporation in town, a big corporation with lots of employees, and you go to their human resources or you go to their VP of sales and you say, let's partner on this event, or let's partner as an organization. They still bring so much to the table. They bring sponsors, they bring volunteers, they bring participants, they have their customers. So go approach some big corporations in town and partner with them. Or maybe you want to partner with another nonprofit, whether it's an association, or maybe it's a civic group, a chamber of commerce, a Rotary Club, a Lions Club. But partner with these groups because they bring so much to the table. And if you look for a group, you're going to solve a lot of your problems just with what they bring to the table. So let me wrap up by just saying a couple things, and we appreciate you being here. We appreciate all that you've done. So you need volunteers, gang. Don't try to do these events by yourself. You'll get burnt out. You'll get frustrated. But when you're recruiting, recruit the right types of people with a good heart that are willing and available and responsible and have lots of contacts. Give them ownership in your event. Make sure they feel like they own your event. They have vested interest and they'd be responsible for their department. Train them properly, give them the right tools, get their job description in writing, give them deadlines, action items, hold them accountable for what they're supposed to do, And then trust me, they will be back year after year if you pour your life into them. And that's the key, serving them, giving your heart to them, making them about them and not you. If you do these kind of things, I guarantee your events will double, triple, quadruple in size just because of your volunteer committee. They're the secret to your success. So I appreciate you joining us. Remember, this call will be recorded. I'll be sending you the link so you can share that with us, with your friends and your community members. We appreciate what you're doing in your community, and we're here to serve you. So anything you may need, we're the Golf Tournament Association of America, and we appreciate it, you joining us today. Thanks again. Good luck. Have a great weekend.